All right, hey Stanley.
Hello again, Mickey. Today is the middle of August, August 15. Time goes by fast. And next week is your birthday.
It is indeed.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be one of the weeks when we will not meet here, but you'll still be meeting to celebrate your birthday with family.
Oh yeah.
And on behalf of all the many people who are now tuning in to us, and it's a growing crowd, I'm glad to say, we wish you a happy birthday, happy and
Oh,
healthy.
thank you very much. I feel older already. I'm actually kind of excited, honestly, to be 30.
You turned 30.
I do. I enter a new decade. I am no longer a young buck, 20-year-old. I get to be at the bottom of the barrel of the 30-year-olds now.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am. So,
We are going today to talk about a, well, we'll see how it turns out, a slightly controversial subject, namely mixed feelings. Mixed feelings. I remember from the therapist who I was with for a while, not long ago, wonderful, wonderful helper, who said, you know, most of us have different feelings about things. You can feel very strongly one way about someone, does not exclude the possibility, maybe even the likelihood, that you feel something quite different about the same person. I think that's a very interesting idea. And, you know, it gives a certain freedom, I believe, to how we feel. If we feel negatively about someone, and I'd like to bring that up a little bit in a minute,
for sure.
does not mean that we can also not feel positively. And it does gives me, gives all of us a an opening, a freedom, a widening of our feelings. Do you want to throw in anything at this point?
Sure. Yeah, I think it is so important for people to embrace the wide array of feelings that they are capable of having. I think so many people shy away from certain kinds of feelings. They identify themselves with a certain end of the spectrum, whether it be, I am a joyful person, I'm a happy person, I'm a confident person, I am a person who is not quick to anger, I'm a person who's very rational in my calculus, I am a person who is trusting and easy to love and funny and jovial. And then suddenly that same person who identifies themselves that way wakes up one day and they're feeling really down.
Yeah.
And they're feeling very insecure, and they're feeling maybe very angry about something and they don't know what. And it's almost as though they feel, who is this person that feels this way? That can't be me, because I'm not that person, I'm this person. And that's just not true. You're all of those people. And whether you like it or not, whether you're uncomfortable feeling depressed, that's still you who is that way. And I think a lot of people, they're afraid to love the parts of themselves that are maybe that they're ashamed of. And then by not loving them,
I agree.
right? And by not loving them, they end up alienating this really important part of themselves that just needs to be embraced and coddled and just given a hug. And that schism, I think that those mixed feelings are hard for people to handle. And we just need to give each other and ourselves more grace when it comes to, feeling a way we don't like.
I have always put forth me as a good generous, kindly person when, and I know we've touched on this before, when underneath there was a fair amount of anger, but it was always covered over with a certain veneer of niceness. And when I experience not feeling nice, it's hard for me to accept. But I tune into just what you said. That's another part of me. The fact that I might be feeling nice about whatever does not exclude the possibility that the opposite can be too, or starting the other way around. It doesn't matter. There is, on my mind lately, the case of a person who is ill. And I don't even want to identify the gender because I'd rather not. It's a person I've known for a long time, maybe 40 years. A teaching colleague. This person grew up in a very poor Irish family, a single child, an only child, and through dint of really hard labor was very successful academically. Received a PhD while still teaching full-time. A major, huge accomplishment in my view. Did not give the person himself, herself credit, really, or some. In any case, lately, this person has begun to suffer from dementia and the beginning of the real, what's now, I'm at a loss for words, the really serious mind going.
Alzheimer's?
Yeah, Alzheimer's. The person has deserted an apartment in the city, moved in with a friend for a good while, who's been a very great caretaker, provider. But quite recently, the person who I'm thinking of, had a stroke, so that the beginning of not remembering things and so on became worse. Now the person is in a rehab situation, out of town. Hopefully they will, as a team at this center, know what to do. I don't know what the outcome is yet. But what I'd like to get at is my own feelings. My own feelings are very mixed. The person was a great scholar, as I said, also a wonderful teacher, very generous, and very liked by students. But there has been a certain selfishness along the way, a self-centeredness. Nice Christmas gifts were given, but you know, a nice Christmas gift, there's something egocentric even there because, well, look what this person gave me. You know, it's a 3-set volume of da da da. So the giver is also
expecting
ennobling him or herself. But I found myself feeling angry about my own feelings. My own feelings being, I hope the person will get better, although I think it's doubtful. By now, I can tell. I spoke to the person not long ago, and all the person could do was complain. I don't want to be here. There's no reason for me to be here. I don't like being here. I don't want to be here. And I am told this is part of the trajectory of Alzheimer's. So the future does not look bright. I think then the question becomes, how do you accept these mixed feelings? A feeling of wishing well for the person and not wishing so well. Not so sure that person deserves a lot of sympathy and encouragement and charity. And so I've been facing particularly the last week, 10 days, facing this. And when I know that I'm dealing with something like that, it makes me very uncomfortable. I don't feel good. I mean, I physically don't feel good.
Yeah.
It really gets to me. And I need to say, hey, I have the left side of me and I have the right side of me. I have the upside and I have the downside. And I have, I don't know, maybe a little bit Republican, mostly Democratic. I have everything in duo.
Yeah. I suppose, what is the primary discomfort that you're feeling about?
I feel an actual physical illness.
Yeah, but what? Why? Just because?
I think because I have been pretending something that is not really real. You know, I've been pretending a loving nature.
Yeah.
Which is only part, and maybe not the larger part, of who I am.
And withholding the other feelings.
That's right, or denying them. No, that's not me. I'm pure me. Because when I was little, that's how I managed.
Yeah.
I managed in a family where I was the baby. Everybody was much older than I, including brother and sister. They were like another pair of parents. They were 10 and 8 years older than me. I was, at times, I think I always felt in danger of not having a place to live, which was not at all true. Yeah. And so I took on this, I would call it a veneer of being sweet. And it wasn't totally me at all.
And you've been doing that since then? Yeah? Or on and off?
Yeah, I carried that with me.
Huh.
I think today, you asked me the other day, do I feel that I am mostly who I am now at this age? And I say yes, because I'm not pretending.
Yeah.
And when I catch myself pretending, as I have lately with this person who is ill, then I really almost get physically ill from it. I don't feel good.
Do you want this person to know how you feel, or do you just want to be able to be comfortable?
That's a very good question. I don't know. What do you think? What would you do in my shoes?
I think that there are other outlets of dealing with your frustrations or dislike for aspects of this person than telling them directly. Especially if they're suffering to the point where I don't even know how well they'll be able to receive it.
That's true. That's true.
It might not be even useful to
They
tell
may
them.
not even hear it.
Yeah, but I think there's also, at what, for, to what degree do you bend over backwards to help an old friend who's suffering, if it's not your responsibility to do it, and maybe if you're extending yourself too far, to be of assistance to them, maybe you back off a little bit in that regard to protect
But
yourself.
you have spoken about yourself being one of the principal aspects of your life is to be a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's dominant in your life,
Yeah.
and it's a wonderful quality, and I believe that too. I believe it. There is that quality in me, but it's blended in with other stuff.
Yeah.
It's not pure.
I don't know the history of your relationship with this person, so I can't say that, like, I will be a good friend to the friends who've been good friends to me, to the, if a friend of mine was suffering horribly, I will go out of my way to ease that suffering. But if, like, an acquaintance of mine was suffering horribly, I don't know if I would extend myself to the same degree that I would if one of my closest friends were,
Yeah.
because it's not my, responsibility. If I use that ethos for everything, then I should be opening my home to refugees from Palestine.
Yeah.
I don't know them, but they're suffering, so I help. And it's like, where do you draw the line of, like, who do you sacrifice parts of yourself to keep afloat, and who doesn't make the cut, I guess, which is a horribly cruel way to say it. But, you're also, to maybe a much lesser degree than them, but also suffering in many other ways. And, it's not your job to ignore your own self-care for the sake of somebody else, unless you really feel called to in your heart to do it. There's no contract.
I feel called to it and not, both. And to go back a couple of sentences, you asked me, would I want this person to know how I feel? In a way, I would say yes, but I don't think the person by now is even capable
Yeah.
of hearing that and accepting it. I don't think so.
Would it be?
And therefore, everybody sort of has to be nice and understanding and charitable
Yeah.
toward this person who is now ill and is not going to get better.
Yeah.
You don't get better from Alzheimer's.
It's hard, I suppose, when you feel that they don't necessarily deserve the friendship that you're extending.
You're absolutely right.
If they were well.
No, you're
know.
absolutely right.
It's the suffering.
I'm not
that-
sure the person does deserve
Yeah.
all this charity.
Have you written out what you feel about it?
Not really.
No. I feel like maybe that would be beneficial in terms of
It might well be.
getting it out without having to tell them.
Might well be. Anyway, I've been dominating this. What do you want to say about mixed feelings?
I think this is a really interesting application of the idea, because it's so true, where I have mixed feelings about lots of people in my life, and to me, my mom told me this thing once. It's not her idea. It was from a psychology book that she had read, but it was this idea of the love bank, and it was used in the book specifically between, like, I suppose, partner relationships.
Bye.
Bye, Mickey.
Bye. It was used most to describe like romantic relationships, but I think it's applicable to friendships and just about every relationship. But the love bank is you every time you do something selfless and kind for a friend, you're adding to this love bank that you have between each other. And let's say every time you add it, it's like $1 or whatever, and then every time they do something hurtful, or break your trust or offend you or whatever, that costs $10 out of the love bank. So the only way to ensure that the love bank is never in the red is to constantly be refilling it with kindness and good deeds and charity and love for your friends, so then when something does happen, like they hurt you, there's already still so much love there that it's so inconsequential to the foundation of the relationship, because you have so much in the bank that they can withdraw a little bit with a mistake.
How do you feel about that idea?
I love it. I use it with all of. I mean, I don't use it. I don't talk about it, but I in my mind I use it with all my friends. My closest friends.
Huh.
My closest friends are their account at my bank is flush. Like they have so much goodwill with me, because they have given me so much love over the years and so much support. And every time I've needed them or needed to rely on somebody, they've always come through. And so when somebody does something that does bother me, that I don't like, I don't necessarily feel like it's a deal breaker for our friendship, because it's so evidently not consistent with the way that they really are with me, that I don't feel, sometimes I don't even feel like I need to bring it up, because I'm like, you know what? It's not indicative of how they feel about me, and it's certainly not indicative of how I feel about them. So, take out the $10 and it's still full. And so it just makes it easier to visualize the quality of a friend.
What happens though if the bank, there's more that's been withdrawn than has been put in?
Then I don't think that they're a very good friend. I have friends like that who, they need of me a lot more than they give to me, and I am willing to help when I can, but it's at some point it becomes exhausting for me.
Sure.
And then I have to come to the decision. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing this more and more. That the word friend, to go back all the way to our first episode, the word friend is thrown around a lot, very loosely.
Yeah.
And it's not until you realize when a tragedy happens, who is really going to be there. And then you suddenly realize that you have a lot more acquaintances than you do friends. And it's a sobering idea to see, wow, I thought at least 50 people would be here to support me, but only 5 are, and I'm lucky to have 5, But then it makes those relationships so much more powerful.
Yeah. I think also in a childish kind of way, I have always thought the world is smooth. Things go the right way. There will be no accidents. There will be no tragedies. Things will not go wrong. And of course, it's not true. And it bothers me a lot that I still cling somewhat to that idea. Like I have lost easily half a dozen very good friends, really good friends, people I loved, male and female, a couple of women. Yeah. I was not married, but we were good not romantic. partners, and certainly several gentlemen. And I really miss those people. I think about them a lot. And as I get older, I think even more about people who are gone. Maybe that's inescapable, that as you get older, your world shrinks some, maybe a lot. And so what do you think about? You think about the people who are gone. They're not here. They're not here anymore. No mixed feelings there at all.
Just
No.
love.
Yes, and nostalgia. Yeah.
When you say that they're gone, do you find that there's power in like saying their names and having conversations in your head with people that are gone? And I ask because my dad always said that like fishing for him was always like a way to go have a chat with his dad.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he still does it. Like, he'll go fish by himself, and he just feels like he's talking to his dad because it's what they did when they were together. And so he feels like, in a way, he's like keeping this memory and this love for this person alive by like going to spend some time in solitude with those memories and not ignoring them, not pushing them aside, but like really diving into the deep end of those feelings and of nostalgia. And it's his favorite thing to do. To this day, fishing is like his favorite thing to do, and I think it's not the fishing that he loves.
Well, it's carving out the time to do that, sure.
Yeah.
I can understand that, yeah. I can think of people who are gone and who I truly love being with, and I can think of particular situations that we were in that were fun, that were great, very happy situations. Yeah. And I guess, I don't know, I guess it seems to me a good thing to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, I think it would be. And, when you write them in the stories that you've written, it's like they're alive again,
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess in there is the hope that when I'm gone, there will be people who will think of me that way, who will want to remember me in a cheery, happy, loving way.
Yeah, and on this podcast, you'll never be gone. There's a lot of recordings of you.
That's surely true.
Out on the internet.
Maybe more than needed. No, yeah.
This conversation will outlive both of us probably on the internet. And then, someone somewhere who's going to find it and be like, what's this guy?
For the men's book group that I belong to, I have been rereading Thomas Mann's Death in Venice. This very sad, very powerful story of the old man who becomes infatuated with the beautiful young boy on a visit to Venice. And he becomes entrapped in the love that is impossible, and also in a plague that is hitting the city. And he dies at the end alone. Many people have left the city because of the plague. He had not. And he dies on the beach by himself because most people have already left. And I think about that. It's a profoundly sad but beautiful story.
Who wrote it?
Thomas Mann, M-A-N-N.
That's very sad. Does it hit different now than it did the first time you read it?
That's a good question. It still hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on mixed feelings?
I'll ask you that, since I've been talking a lot.
I don't know. I just think that it's okay to not know how you feel about something sometimes. You don't have to always know how you feel about something. Sometimes just embrace the fact that what it is that you're feeling might not have words yet, and be comfortable in the fact that maybe if you sit with it enough and don't push it away, you might find some.
And if I could add to that, to feel okay about maybe not feeling okay.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to end it.
I certainly feel okay about this. I'm so glad that we're doing this. And we've been at it for 1.5 years now, so
It's wild.
I know. I wasn't sure this would happen, but it has.
Yeah.
And we're still here.
I got a new buddy.
Yeah.
An old buddy, but a new buddy.
Well, happy birthday, Mickey.
Thank you.
Turning 30 is wonderful.
Yeah, I'm catching up to you. I'll get there. I'm excited. Before we go, real quick, what was your 30th birthday? Do you remember what you did? Or
I do, because my brother was at that point dying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to bring that up at the end.
Yeah, so I do happen to remember it.
Yeah, so you were in the city.
I was, and my mother had come because he was already on the way out.
So it was your last birthday with him? 30?
Yes.
Wow, that's special.
Yep.
Special year. Huh. Well, on that note, Stanley, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I wish you a really happy, healthy birthday.
Thank you. I wish that for me too.
Bye.
Bye.